Welcome to the Daily Business Tips Podcast, your source for lead generation, sales techniques, keeping your customers happy, tips for increasing profit, and productivity hacks. Learn new strategies that you can start implementing in your business today. Please welcome your host, Fewtrell.
All right, today's episode is called "Is the Customer Always Right?" And this is a question that I think a lot of business owners struggle with because, you know, we work so hard to get new customers. Then when we get somebody who might have a complaint, sometimes it's difficult to know which way to take that and what's the best angle. So I sort of did a bit of research and I've got my view on how to handle customer complaints, but I came across a website, marketingdonut.co.uk. And they had a thing on there which is how to handle complaints. And it really sat well with the way that I use or my method. So I just printed off their points and I'm going to use that as my guide in this tip because I think it's a really good way to look at it. Now, before I do get into the tips of how to handle customer complaints properly, make sure that you are subscribed to the DBT tribe. To do that, go to dbtpodcast.com and put your details in, and that way you'll never miss an episode or a special offer. All right, let's go through some of these ways of handling customer complaints. The first thing that they say, which I agree with, is thank the customer for complaining. And, you know, I know that's a hard thing to do, to think, well, I want to thank them. But the reality is your customer's now giving you feedback. And I think in today's age, it's important. I was watching a YouTube video someone sent me of a vlogger on YouTube, and they had a pair of pants that they'd spent a couple of $100 US on. They were near the store. They'd bought them online. They'd had them for about a month, and the seams had started to come apart. Now, this vlogger has got, I don't know, millions and millions of subscribers, and this particular video had about 1.5 million views. And he went into the store and he showed them the pants, and they wouldn't do anything about it. In fact, they made it hard for him to get a new pair. Which is totally opposite to some of the experiences you might get at places like Apple, where you go in there. I've gone into Apple with an iPhone or an iPad that didn't work, and they just give me a new one. And so, you know, not that I'm saying that's the best policy, but what I'm saying is you've got to really be thankful, grateful that your customer has brought it to your attention, because what could happen is that instead of them coming in and bringing it to your attention, is they could just go tell a bunch of people that you don't have great service and you're going to get less customers. So thank the customer for complaining and be grateful that they are giving the opportunity to fix the problem. The second thing is say that you're sorry. So once someone does complain to you, let them know that you apologize. Say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you haven't had the experience that you wanted to have. I'm sorry that the product hasn't met your expectations, whatever it might be. Now, this is not an admission of guilt. This is just manners. It's just being polite. And I think it'll also disarm them because they're expecting an argument. You know, quite often this is what happens when someone complains. An argument will be what happens after a complaint. So I'd say, you know, by saying sorry and be empathetic. You know, say, look, I understand. I'm really sorry. It shouldn't have happened. I'm upset that this has happened to you. So apologize. Be okay with that. And then what I'd say is walk a mile in their shoes, and just so you can get their perspective. And I always like to do this when I have a customer complaint, so I can try and understand where it is they're coming from. And, think about it from their perspective. So I call that walking a mile in their shoes. And, you know, it's not any more than just getting an understanding of why they're coming to you. So if it's been a product or service that hasn't been delivered properly, then you just got to put yourself in their shoes and go, yeah, okay, well, if I was them, would I be complaining? Would I be unhappy? Would I be, wanting a refund, or would I wanting a repair, or what would I be wanting to do? So, always start from that point, and always start from the point that the customer actually has a valid point, you know, because in their eyes they do. Whether or not you agree with them, whether or not you think it's a valid complaint, doesn't matter. In their mind, they're complaining because they think they have a valid point. So that's where you've got to start from. Always respect that, and always be open to listening to what it is they're after and why they're talking to you, because I think that's really, really important. All right, and then the next stage I think of so once you've sort of done that, so thank them for complaining, apologise, walk a mile in their shoes, and just make sure that you understand that they've got a valid point, is then to gather all the facts. And at this point in time, I like to ask a lot of questions and use open-ended questions. So when did you buy it? Why do you feel this way? What has led you to calling me today? And try and get as much information as you can. I actually like to write it all down. And if they can send me an email, so it's all in writing, I also like that as well. It's a good thing to do because it just covers you, and it makes sure that then no one is going to miscommunicate what the actual issue is. So I like to say to people, all right, can you do this for me? Could you please email me exactly what the problem is and how you would be satisfied as a remedy, or what remedy you would see as satisfactory or that would delight you. Because the last thing you want is a customer that's not happy telling the world. Now, I talk about that vlogger. That vlogger has, I think about 1.5 million followers on YouTube. And straight away on that particular episode, he said, I hate to do this. He took his camera and he showed the shop sign and he said, these people, unfortunately, don't give very good service. So it wasn't great for them, and I think it's really important to understand that, you want to make sure you get all the facts and you do your best to fix the problem, because otherwise you could end up with a bit of negative media. The next step would be to correct the mistake. So once you've taken on the complaint from the customer, is to try and work out how to fix it. And like I said before, I like to ask them as to what they think would be a great resolution or resolve for the issue. It's not always about giving a free gift. Sometimes it is about working out how to, working out what you can do to make it so it's fixed. So if it's a replacement, if it's a repair, if it's a rework, whatever it might be, just get a view from them as to what's going to fix it. Don't always go straight for the refund. However, having said that, some customers are just a pain in the butt, and the best thing to do is just get them out of your life. So, and then make sure you don't sign those clients up or deal with those people again, or that type of person, because it's your own fault for bringing the wrong clients on. And then, make sure that they're happy with that fix. So I always say, here, what would be a good resolution for you? When they say it's X, Y, Z, I'd say, okay, so if I do X, Y, and Z, is that going to fix the problem? Will you be happy? Yes, fantastic. And if they have done something like left a negative review on a Facebook page or something like that, I would say to them, look, if I do that, would you mind then taking down the negative review because I don't think it's fair, or, we hadn't had the opportunity to fix this problem, whatever it might be, right? So then you can sort of get a resolution that also works for you. I think that's really, really important. The next thing to do is I always like to document every single complaint I've ever had and learn from them. So you can brainstorm with the team, think about, okay, why did we get that complaint? Did we drop the ball? Now, because as a business, it doesn't matter how good you are, how good you think you are, I can guarantee at some stage you are going to screw up. So it's important that you learn from every complaint, and then minimize the reasons that people can complain. So make sure your systems are solid, that your process is solid, that you've got all your ducks in a row. What else have I got down here written down? Oh, here's a good one. Always respond. If you get a complaint, always respond quickly. And I think that's important. I think it's important that if someone does have an issue, a concern, a complaint, that you don't wait. As much as it can be awkward and uncomfortable, I think as a business owner, you got to make sure you get straight onto the complaint, call the person, face them directly and say, hey, understand that something hasn't gone to plan. You're not happy with something. Can I find out more? And then go through that process. Thank them, apologise, walk a mile in their shoes, get them to send it to you in detail. So get all the facts, ask some nice open-ended questions, come up with a resolution and make sure everyone's happy. And I think that's pretty much summed up how to handle a customer complaint. I think, and the more training you do with your team to get comfortable with it, the better off you're going to be. Complaints just are a process of running a business. It's going to happen. It's how you handle it that's going to matter the most. I call them moments of truth. When a customer complains, that's the moment when you really want to step up to the mark and make sure that you handle it the best way possible. You ask anybody about their Apple Store experience when something hasn't worked, and it's usually a positive one, which is just a true testament to how they're using that in their marketing. All right, so that's it for today's tip. Once again, thanks for tuning into the Daily Business. To go to dbtpodcast.com and join the Daily Business Tips tribe. Make sure you subscribe and give us the thumbs up if you like the video. I will check all the comments down below. Happy to hear your feedback. How do you handle a customer complaint? I'd love to hear from you. Alrighty, thanks once again for tuning into the DBT. Now, what we do is at the end of every episode is I love to read out a quote. And this one is from a fellow called Bill Gates, who I'm sure has had his fair share of customer complaints. But he says that your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. So true. Until tomorrow, have a profitable day.